Welcome to Dark Knight Films Reviews. I'm your host, Spease, and today we are doing another ranking video of the top 10 sci-fi movies. Now, this list is going to be all over the place as far as years and everything, but I don't care. It's sci-fi. I do like sci-fi, but it's not like horror where I have a big affinity for sci-fi films. Most of my favorite sci-fi films are sci-fi films that have horror elements in them, as you will see on this list. But let me know in the comments down below, what is your top 10 sci-fi films? And if you like my videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because it really does help my channel out a lot. Alright. Starting off, number 10, Starship Troopers from 1997. This was a return to form for Paul Verhoeven. And it ended up helping to make a star out of Casper Van Dien and Denise Richards. But as good as they are in this movie, which they are pretty good in this, I don't think they're the best part of Starship Troopers. And I'm not going to say the bugs are the best part either, because that's why it's so low on my list, because the bugs are like this, one of the weakest alien villains I've ever seen in a film. I mean, yes, they're badass and they end up killing a lot of soldiers and everything, but as far as being interesting looking creatures and being really badass, they don't really stand out too much to me. But the standout performances in this film were Michael Ironside, Clancy Brown, and Geena Meyer. Those three gave the standout performances that made this movie a step up from just some sci-fi schlock, and of course some skilled direction from Paul Verhoeven brings it up on this list. Number 9, The Fly from 1986. The Fly was an amazing film from David Cronenberg, doing such a cool transformation from Jeff Goldblum into this fly creature. And then you have a great performance from Geena Davis as his new love interest and everything. And it is a great little update of the old 50s Fly movie with Vincent Price. This film literally put Jeff Goldblum on the map as really a real star because of his performance in this. He did so good as Seth Brendel in this film. I mean, his physicality in this, going all out for certain scenes, was amazing. So that's why it makes my list. Just because of that. I mean, special effects, you might watch it and they might feel a little bit dated or something now, but for back then they were really great. And that's why this film makes my list of the best sci-fi films. Coming in at number 8 is Universal Soldier from 1992. Universal Soldier was a kind of unique film because you actually got two big action stars at the time with Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren doing something that was kind of out of their element. It was a more of a sci-fi Terminator kind of film in which, in this case, the Terminators are in the creation stages where this company creates the Unisols to be their new soldiers. And of course, thanks to Andrew Scott being an unstable soldier to begin with, he causes a lot of the Unisols to rebel against the programming, and it's Jean-Claude Van Damme's Luke Devereaux that stands in their way alongside a cute and adorable Ally Walker. The scene with those two in the diner, in which he eats food and everything and stuff, and it's been a while since he's still in the robotic state of what they made him as this Unisol, and it's just hilarious. Not so much because of Van Damme, even though Van Damme does pretty good in this with his portrayal here, but it's Ally Walker who puts it all over in her portrayal of this character. And she brings this up that, I mean, this could have been just a forgettable action vehicle for Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren, and it steps up above it because of Ally in her portrayal here. She was great in this.
How was lunch, huh?
And the film was directed by Roland Emmerich. It was one of his first really big films for him. And coming in at number 7, we have another Roland Emmerich film, Independence Day from 1996. Independence Day, it has an amazing little cast in this thing with not only Will Smith, but Jeff Goldblum. And then playing his father in this, we have Judd Hirsch, and he is great in there. Playing Will Smith's wife character is Vivica A. Fox. And then, of course, we have a really cool, unusually cast young actor playing the president with Bill Pullman. But he plays him so good. He's a great president character in here. I mean, he starts off really, you don't know if he's a strong character or not, but by the end, when this alien invasion happens, he really steps it up and inspires people. And then, of course, the other big name in this was Randy Quaid, playing the crazy guy that was captured by the aliens and experimented on and everything. So, Independence Day is a fun but dumb action alien film. The aliens. That the reason this is down on the down on my list is, again, for the same reason Starship Troopers was. I mean, the aliens in this are not really given any real depth. They're not really cool looking. They're just aliens. The coolness factor comes from the human characters. Of course, everyone remembers this film for the big moment where the alien spaceship blows up the White House. But in the film, I was shocked when I went to see this movie in the theaters. I was shocked that they went the route they did with killing Bill Pullman's First Lady in the film. That was really a shocking moment in the film. Killing her about, I think it was like 40, 45 minutes, 50 minutes into the film. It surprised me, and it had me fearful for Will Smith's character of Vivica A. Fox, his wife, because if the First Lady can die, nobody's safe in this thing. So it really worked. It worked in that way. But that was one of its stronger sequences, was that. Coming in at number 6, we have The Planet of the Apes from 1968. This original Planet of the Apes movie, written by Rod Serling of Twilight Zone fame, was the best of, and don't get me wrong, I do like the newer ones that they have, but they don't have that same coolness factor of this original film, and neither did any of the sequels to this film. And of course, that weird Mark Wahlberg, Tim Burton garbage movie is definitely not at the top of my list on a sci-fi movies list. But this original classic, it is great. The performances of Kim Hunter and Roddy McDowall as the more sympathetic of the apes in here. And it just shows how great of actors they were, that they are able to portray their performance so well through this makeup, because you just basically see their eyes. The rest of them is this ape makeup and everything. They really make you like their characters. They are really good characters in here, and they stand out, even with a great performer playing the human, with Charlton Heston, who has his biggest moment whenever the apes catch him.
Why did you run away?
Security police.
I'm in charge of this man.
No longer, madam. He is now in the custody of the Ministry of Science.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
Great scene. But even the hunt leader, played by Norman Burton, he puts so much intensity into his performance. And it's hard to do. I mean, most, as an actor, you want to use everything about your face, not just your eyes. But whenever you can just use your eyes to portray either fear, anger, love, McDowell, he did that awesomely, as did Hunter. And Burton in a different way, because he was a more bad version of the Apes. I mean, he was the main, by all intents and purposes, he was one of the main villains of the story, because he was the most aggressive of the apes. Some of the Dr. Apes, they didn't impress me with their performances. They were just to the letter, you know. I mean, they just. But of course, you know, it's the movie is as great as it is because of the writing by Rod Serling, the performances by Roddy McDowall, Kim Hunter, and Charlton Heston. This film is one of the great classics of our time, and it deserves to be there. And that's why it makes my list at number 6. Coming in at number 5, we're rounding into our top 5 sci-fi films. We have They Live from 1988. I am a wrestling fan, and at one time I really loved the WWF/WWE now. And I always loved Roddy Piper. So when he made the jump into film and played in this John Carpenter film, I was like, wow, this is going to be interesting. You know, how's he going to do? Because wrestlers going into acting, you know, other than recently with Dave Bautista and Dwayne Johnson, most of them don't do very well with it. So this movie came out, and I was just, like a lot of people, I always knew he had chemistry in wrestling. But to translate that awesome chemistry in wrestling to the big screen it's awesome. His performance as Nada in here is so good. He has one of the coolest scenes in film history.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
It's a new morning in America. Fresh, vital. The old cynicism is gone. It really boils down to our...
And then, of course, he has one of the most epic fight scenes in film history, in which he fights Keith David's character, who is another standout in this film. He is so good as his character.
I told you, I didn't want to be in. You dirty motherfucker!
And then rounding out our cast, you have Meg Foster in here, which I was always perplexed about. I mean, from the start, she distrusts Nada, knocks him out a freaking window, damn near kills him, and then she answers a call, you know, and talks on a phone, you know, saying, you know, I'm fine, you know, and all this stuff. I think she was already in league with the aliens from the beginning. At one point, I was on the line of thinking that she was with Roddy Piper and Keith David, wanting to help them, and wasn't with the aliens. And then when they got captured, she was brainwashed or something and betrayed them. But now, looking back on it now, I don't think that's the case. I mean, John Carpenter, if you ever see this video, if you want to debate this with me and tell me, hey, no, she was brainwashed, let me know. And any of you, if you think tell me what you think on that, on the Meg Foster character. But it was one of Carpenter's most unique films, and I think he did a great job on it. It's just a shame that the film did not do better when it first initially was released. But I'm glad that it has this cult status that it has now. And coming in at number 4, we have Robocop from 1987. We started this list at number 10 with a Paul Verhoeven film, and now we are to his film that made him a top director. His impressive Robocop, which this film, so that is my number 4. Now we are getting down to the final 3. So number 3, the Terminator from 1984. Now I put Terminator on this list because, like I said at the beginning of this list, I would rather have a sci-fi film with horror elements than just a big sci-fi action extravaganza. And that's why I prefer the original Terminator over Terminator 2 Judgment Day. And most people are the opposite. Most people like Part 2 and say it's one of the best sequels of all time. I am not on that camp. I think the original Terminator film is unrivaled. It is like a slasher film with a cybernetic organism doing the killing. And Arnold Schwarzenegger is just perfect in this film, playing the villain. He is amazing. And then, of course, you have Linda Hamilton playing Sarah Connor, one of the most likable and believable heroines in film history. And you really are with her through this whole process of being hunted by this killing machine.
They cannot make things like that yet.
Not yet. Not for about 40 years.
Are you saying it's from the future?
And of course, alongside her is the man that traveled back in time to try and save her, Michael Biehn, as Reese. And he is just so freaking cool in this film.
What day is it? The date!
12th May, Thursday.
What year?
You've got a cool hero, a good leading lady that ends up becoming a badass by the end of the film. And, of course, you've got one of the most badass villains of all time with the Terminator. Which is why Terminator will always be better to me. Because it is unique, and he is such a badass villain in the film. Alright, getting to the final 2. Number 2 is The Predator from 1987. Now we get to the film, one of the films that made the Terminator series turn to that where Arnold Schwarzenegger became a hero. But I don't blame the Predator. I blame James Cameron for, deciding to make the character. And probably even Arnold Schwarzenegger himself for deciding to change that villainous character and make him a good guy in there. The Predator, though, John McTiernan directs the action in this film. I mean, a guy that directed an awesome movie like Die Hard and then does this. This is a sci-fi extravaganza. I mean, it is not an action extravaganza, but this is what I love. I mean, the Predator is an alien slasher stalking a group of badass soldiers and killing them off one by one, which makes him look even more badass because, I mean, he is taking out some of the best soldiers in the world. And the cast in this, with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, Bill Duke, Sonny Landham, and of course Jesse Ventura. I mean, it is just such a great film. And of course, Kevin Peter Hall as the frickin' Predator. And the makeup and design on the Predator by Stan Winston, rest in peace. That man is sorely missed in this industry. This creature design is one of the best creature designs in anything ever. When he's masked, he looks so freaking cool. And even when the mask comes off, he looks so badass.
One ugly motherfucker.
So, there's no way the Predator could not make this top of this list of sci-fi movies of all time. And the final confrontation between Kevin Peter Hall and Arnold Schwarzenegger is intense and amazing. Great film. And finally, coming in at number 1 is Alien from 1979. Ridley Scott directed a suspenseful, the mood and the setting, the claustrophobic location on this spacecraft. This film, it's unrivaled as far as suspense in a sci-fi film, in my opinion here. And you have just amazing performances in here by Sigourney Weaver, Tom Skerritt, Harry Dean Stanton, John Hurt, Yaphet Kotto. If there's one performance that I didn't really like in this film, it's Veronica Cartwright. She's just too over the top. Whenever shit goes crazy with the alien coming after him and killing them one by one, she's just so over the top and so batshit with her crying and freaking out. Very weak performance by her, unfortunately. And then, of course, you have Ian Holm as the android who ends up, he's working with organization and working against our heroes. Well, the shocker in this film, John Hurt, in one of the most iconic scenes in film history, is the first to die, which shocking in and of itself, because, I mean, he is a pretty badass actor, and they offed him right off the bat. And then you get number 2. The second person to get offed is Harry Dean Stanton, another really fine, great actor in films. But the biggest shock this movie ever did was killing Dallas, Tom Skerritt's character. Number 3. He was the third one to die in this film, and it was like, what? Everybody, thought Tom Skerritt's the big hero of this thing. He's gonna, fight the alien by the end of it, and save the day. And it was such a shock. And it is a great sequence.
Move! Get out of there! Would you move? Down! Move down! Move down! Get out! Oh. No, not that way! The other way! God!
When he died, I'm angered, but I'm also... Ridley Scott did his job and scared the hell out of me with that, with the attack and the shock that Dallas, one of the coolest characters in this film, is gone now. So by the end of the film, whenever the alien is taken care of by Sigourney Weaver, it is one of the most iconic moments where a woman shows her strength, as opposed to, you know, maybe that's why they did the whole thing with Veronica in there, because of she, you know, make her the traditional, you know, screaming, you know, woman, and Sigourney Weaver, and I mean, keeps her composure and you know, becomes the total badass that she ends up becoming. And why Alien would be on this list instead of Aliens is just like I said, it's the same way. Alien is basically a really cool sci-fi slasher film in space. This alien is hunting them down and killing them in space in a very confined area, suspenseful. Whereas there's no suspense, there's no scariness in James Cameron's Aliens. I mean, everyone tries to say that that is the superior film to Alien. There's no way. There's no way. In my opinion, Aliens is not. It's a good action movie. I mean, you turn this film, it's like Terminator 2. You know, you turned a really cool film into just some generic action film, in my opinion. And it just hurts the film. So, what are your thoughts? What is your list? Please comment down below. You know, give me your list of your favorite sci-fi films. And if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, because it really does help the channel out. And, hey, I'll see you next time.